And it ain't that hard. I'm talking about 10 to 15 hours during the week. That's 2 hours a day. If you can save 2 hours a day and do that for the 25 days, or 20 days in a month, that's going to save you that time. So where do we come up with that? Well, I've got a list here I can come up with, and I got to thinking about it. First thing we're going to talk about is those reducing those same questions you do over and over again. Where to put this? Where does this go? What do you buy? Where do you get it from? Who do you call? All those damn things add up. And the problem is they don't, we're going to talk about it later, that they keep getting asked all the time. Same questions, same answers, but there's no problem. And the real problem is that we don't have a system. We don't have a standard. I don't know if you ever heard of Michael Gerber. Michael Gerber wrote this book called The E-Myth, and it's old. And matter of fact, you can find, he did the E-Myth. There's all kinds of versions of it. E-Myth Reborn, E-Myth New Generation, E-Myth 2026 with some AI probably. And why is that? Because the damn thing works. The whole book, he can resell it over and over again. He just makes little updates. And he's making a fortune just on telling y'all make systems. It's kind of like Fast and Furious. They got the same story. I think they got seven versions of it now. The same damn story, just a little bit of twist. Why do they do that? Because it works. Why? Because systems work. Movies work. Same story. Everybody's following it. So that's what we want to focus on. We're going to focus on systems to get those hours back. The other reason you're actually spending your time is you're dealing with putting fires out again. And that's the problem. And the same damn fire. It's kind of like, and I'm just as bad about this. I got bad tire. You got a bad tire, you get a flat. What do? You patch it. And it's going to happen again because the tire needs to be replaced. And you think, I'm just keeping things moving. And you are. And it's not that we're lazy. We patch things right up real fast. We just don't fix it. And why? Because we think we're too busy. We think we're too busy, and it's just a damn vicious circle. Just buy the new tire. That's all I want to say about that. If you can't figure that out, then maybe to call me. We'll talk about that later in a more in-depth conversation. Jobs that don't fit you, And if they don't fit you, what happens? You're answering more questions. More questions means more of your time. So what do you need to do? You need to create a standard of the job that you want. Back in the day, I became project manager, and I told my sales staff, Big D, he come in there, and I said, David, I don't want to tell you ever to say no. And if you come to me and you got this type of job, and we this type of job, this many so-and-so, and I had 4 different things, and that's our perfect job. If you ever come to me with that, I will never tell you no, that I will not do that. And matter of fact, best part of those jobs is you make more money. What do you make more money at? Well, you're more efficient at them, and they go faster. So the amount of time that you're paying somebody, you can get them to do the same amount of work or more work with the same amount of time. And since we're talking about saving time, repetition is the name of the game here. I was having a conversation the other day with somebody and talking about my Amish crews. And it's not really about the Amish, because I got English guys, the guys that drive them around, they work too. And it's just more of a learning process. But I'm talking about my worker ant. Those guys get in there and they get at it. And there's not a lot of talking. And thank the Lord they ain't got no cell phones, because now they don't have to worry about somebody calling them or them texting anybody. But the point being is that everybody knows what to do. And if they don't know, then they don't ask you. If they know what to do, they don't ask you. And that's the best part. Do y'all follow the pattern here? No more questions. Make a system. Get that. There's the whole pattern. If you're following me along, that's what I'm talking about. Get those systems, get those standards, let everybody know what they are. Everybody knows what to do. And voila, we're saving you time and especially money. Oh, this next one. And if you're this way, I want you to stop it. Don't be a micromanager. If you would commit to turning things over, make that commitment today. Kind of like when I had to decide that I'm going to lose weight, I'm going to stop eating this. No more junk food, okay? So no more you micromanaging. Imagine if you would turn stuff loose, how much time you'd have. Let that sink in. That's a lot of time. I always loved it when people come to me and I'd say, well, what would you do if I wasn't here? Well, I'd do such and such. Well, then you go do it. I'm giving you that power to go do that. I want you to think for yourself. I want you to use common sense. The other part is that I want you to take a vacation. I want to challenge you to take a vacation, and you instruct your team not to call you. And that might be pretty simple. The real hard part is for you not to call them while you're on vacation. I remember one time I went down to St. Louis Zoo with my family, and I was on the phone talking back to work, checking on things. They said, you going to spend time with us or on that phone? I did. I finally hung up and said, okay. But the point was that you contacting them and worrying is just as bad as them contacting you and taking up your time. Now, great contractors, they create standards. We talked about that. They're going to create those systems. And I've told you about my almost dying story before. I'm going to tell you about it actually a couple of years later. And I had to go into heart surgery. Didn't tell nobody about it because I thought it was just a day surgery, go in. And I did. They went up my arm, all that good stuff. And they had to abort. And so what's that mean? Well, you're going to stay here overnight. It's like, okay. So the doctor comes in. I had 5 blockages in my heart. And I'm only some 50 some years old. I was a walking time bomb. But the point being was, now I got to have open heart surgery. I've already told you about the fact that I almost died in the family. I made a lot of changes since then. And I got this open heart surgery. And the family gets together and my wife said, we need to have a meet because we're not going to go through this like we did last time in 2017, I guess. Yeah. We're not going to go through this again. So we had a family meeting. And the best part was, it was simple. It only lasted 10 minutes. Here's who you call if this happens. Here's who you do. And you know what? I got people taking care of everything. And Chris was gone for damn near 2 weeks, just in rehab and everything, because they split me open. Now, the physician said he had his heart in my hand, and I was a walking time bomb and all that good stuff. But the point was that nobody missed a beat while I was over in Columbia in the hospital. My wife didn't have no stress other than the fact that, I was in the hospital, but she didn't have to deal with all the BS that I put her through back, 4 or 5 years ago earlier. Somebody knew, and they didn't have to worry about Chris, and Chris couldn't answer the damn phone anyway if I wanted to. Talk about answering the phone. Let's talk about this next one. Can you imagine? I want you to think about the calls you just get. Are they necessary? Did you need to answer them? The phone calls you get in the day, could they be answered by somebody else? Or even a system take care of them? Right now, I got my phone on Do Not Disturb. Elizabeth's going to get that phone call, and that's great. I don't need to take it. Now, I don't want to wear out Elizabeth either because I'm paying her good money to answer them phones sometimes. So there are things that she doesn't have to answer. Are there phone calls that you don't have to answer, the people that you don't have to answer? We want to eliminate that problem in the bud because it's just like a tire patching thing. Can you resolve the issue? Well, there are some things. If I want to cut down Elizabeth's phone calls, we are sharing schedules. Somebody done that call and said, where you at? What you doing? There's software for that. We're using a scheduling software. There are some things that actually the software will pick up the phone before Elizabeth even gets to it. Are there things that scheduling appointments, online scheduling, wonderful thing. Actually, there's phone calls we're eliminating to have to make phone calls on referrals. Not referrals, well, referrals too. Reputation management. We're using that as well. You don't even have to ask for a referral or anything because our system automatically does it. That's saving time. And the fact that you're not doing it, you're not wasting your people's doing it, scheduling, materials, all that stuff's available right online through a phone app these days. Back in the day, we used to have a job ticket, and it was a debacle before we took it over. I took over, and we straightened a lot of this stuff out. And the job ticket was the Bible, basically. If it's on that job ticket, that's what happens. But the problem was people were making copies of the job ticket. And you guys know that customers make changes and something would change. And they go back to the job ticket, make the change, but they didn't have to run around and they forget a copy somebody else made. Well, you didn't say it here. Well, that's because you got a copy that was done before the change was made. So we went to a digital job ticket. That way you don't have to change it once, change it in one spot, and then everybody has it. And if I found a copy of a job ticket, well, they didn't lose a hand, but a little physical pain never hurt nobody. I'm telling you that right now. Get rid of that damn job ticket, that piece of paper. You look at it on the screen, and that solves lots of things. Software is a wonderful thing if you use it. Now, I'm going to do a little confession right now. I love shiny objects. I'm a guy with shiny object syndrome. I like to say squirrel, and you got to turn my head, and I'm always sometimes chasing that stuff. And I love the daydream. That takes up time. But that, I want you to do that stuff because we should, as business owners, be dreaming about new goals, new things like that. But what we need to focus on is that our ideas, the dreams that we're moving forward, are used to focus and at the end of the day, get your goals that you're trying to achieve. Ask yourself, is this going to get where I want to go? So while there are times where I spend and waste my time on things that aren't going to get to my goals, and that's the whole point. We want to focus on the goals. If you need a new goal, fine, make a new goal. Point is, let's not waste any time on things that aren't going to get you there. Now, that being said, this whole conversation is about freeing up time. Time freedom is the goal here. At least been talking about it for the last 20 minutes. So that's the whole goal here. If you have a team that you trust, you've set the standards, you created the systems, you've actually identified the work you want to do, And that's what you need to do. That's where you need to be. That's where we're headed. That'll get you that 40 hours in that month. And then you'll be wondering, what do I do with all my time? Well, we're going to do that. We're going to talk about that in another episode sometime. But what do you do with all that time? Fish, golf, invest, whatever it is. Because some people say, I can't sit at home and do nothing. And that's right. I don't want you to. But if you like what I talked about today and how you can free up some time, please subscribe. That way, if you subscribe and hit the notification button, you'll hear about that next episode. This is Chris G., Hard Hat CEO. God be with you until we meet again.